Can we agree on something, Ruffy?
Yeah.
Home is where the heart is. Where is home?
We'll find the answer with someone new every Friday night from 9 to 10 with Ina.
And Ruffy.
Homesick at home.
Have you ever felt that way?
Shot City. I'm coming home again.
Good evening, dear listeners of Radio Van 103.1. This is our Friday night evening show, Homesick at Home. And the weather is rainy, but we have spring in our hearts because today is a holiday of beauty and motherhood.
Is it? I didn't know today was a holiday.
Yeah, but I thought that's why you have this thing on your forehead.
No, it's
what
not.
were you celebrating, Rafi?
Today I just ran over to the studio now because we just finished up with doing a modeling show over at Yerevan Mall. So I still
you
have.
were a model.
Yeah. So for our radio audience, I have like black makeup on my forehead and I think a yellow lightning bolt coming down the side of my face.
Superhero?
I wish.
Something like
I
that.
wish I was.
Okay, so dear women, happy holiday, and this is the closing of our Spring Women's Month, so-called, but I hope that this holiday will go on. And we have two gentlemen in our studio who I am sure will be happy to join our words of congrats. Director for Extension Programs at American University of Armenia, Sergey Tantushyan. Hello.
Hello, Sergey.
And business consultant, Aren Apikyan. Good
Hello.
evening, guys.
Good
Hi.
evening.
Nice to see you in our studio. How are you doing? Are you feeling comfortable?
Yeah, doing great. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you for the invitation and happy Motherhood and Beauty Day to all the women.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I feel kind of that I'm sacrificing something, so I'm gonna be kind of grumpy today.
No.
'Cause, you know, I'm supposed to be at a restaurant now, but I'm not. But I'm still happy.
But
Oh, I feel bad.
but we had some treatment for you. It
Okay.
wasn't
Yeah, we all shared an
Little
apple together.
Sure.
The candies?
That's the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
We'll have some
just
common
as good.
questions for you, so feel free to interrupt each other, interfere, and whatever. This is free format conversation, okay?
This is a free country, yeah.
Yeah, this is a free country. Yeah, right. Okay. So can you guys please tell us about your background, because I know you, but many listeners maybe don't. So
I don't know you guys, so I'm curious to hear what we
Yeah.
have, what you
Well,
have
my
to say.
background is my beautiful bag now. That's what my background is. No, but if no kidding, my background is I'm an economist by my first training. Then I decided that, you know, in the Armenian educational system, it's very confusing what economics, what finance, what marketing, what modeling are. And people are usually confused. And, you know, when you understand what you like, you're about to graduate. So I graduated and then I realized what I want to do. And it was business. So I went to US to do my MBA there. Worked in New York for another two years. Before that, I did my research in Canada, McGill, and then I'm back here at AUA.
so you guys were born in Armenia, both of you, right?
Yeah.
Yerevan.
No yes or no answers, okay? Longer answers. Aren, what was Armenia like as a child for you?
Armenia was like homeland. So I mean, Armenia was the place when I was most happy in my life. So actually, I was born here, and until I was 15 years old when we left to Russia. So I graduated from actually 2 universities there. I have a degree in law and management. Worked for about 15 years in different banks, and I have a banking background, financial background. And in 2009, I decided to repatriate actually with my family, with my kids already. So we returned to Armenia. I started my career. I continued my banking career here in a bank, and just in a couple of years I left and started my different projects as a project manager already. So it's been 7 years already that we're back, and we're still happy.
Nice. I'm curious. What was the push? What made you decide to come back to Armenia?
That's a good question. I mean, I always wanted to come back. I mean, I always dreamt that one day we will return to Armenia.
Was this something you always felt personally, or was it kind of pushed on you by your family? Was it like, you have to be Armenian, you have to go back to Armenia?
Exactly the opposite, actually.
Really?
All of my friends and family would try to stop me from doing this. I mean, why are you going back? You have a wonderful life in Moscow. You have a great career. Your family is here. Your friends are here. Actually, most of my family is still, and my wife's family is still there. And my mom lives there. My wife's parents live there. Everybody is there, actually. So we are a little in kind of a weird family. I mean, it's exactly the opposite that most of my friends. I mean, they live in Moscow. Their parents live here.
Right.
We did the other thing. So yeah, so yeah. No, it was just a desire to come back. So I was looking for chances. I mean, how can I come back? And I found a job finally in Armenia, and that was the push, the main push.
So you found a job first while you were living in Russia?
Yeah.
Once that was secured?
Yeah. I found a job.
Did you ever have moments of regrets?
I always have moments of regret,
Oh, that's
especially
Just in life.
yeah, but never like something too serious to change my mind. Yeah, no, some life things, you know.
Okay, thank you, Sergey. Can you tell a little bit what is extension programs? Because
Yeah.
some
Well, I
people
mean, it's
don't know.
continuing education, lifelong learning. But since we have also test preparation for those who are planning to join AUA and other universities as well, so we call it extension. We have 3 directions there. Professional development courses, test preparation courses, and language courses. We were known for our English, which comes in 6 levels, but now I expanded it to actually Arabic, Turkish, different other languages, Italian, French, and so on, Russian, Armenian. The professional development courses are everything ranging from digital marketing to adaptive leadership, which we soon are going to have a very good course, and to geopolitics, for example. And the test preparation is TOEFL, GRE, and everything else. So, I mean, this wide range, it's open to public. You don't have to be a student to join the courses. And it's, I call it a business under the academic kind of umbrella, because it's very market-based. So, I mean, we offer courses that are increasing employability of the customers. If, you know, this is something that wouldn't get them a job or like help them advance in their careers, they just don't pay, don't come. And it's very down to earth.
Very interesting.
That's why I love
Is it expensive?
No, actually not really. I mean, it's very fairly priced. We have a lot of donors that are subsidizing heavily a lot of courses, as everything at AUA. For example, this course that is going to be offered on May 15, it's called Everything That You Would Hate Your Competitors to Learn About Your Business, or something like that. It's going to be delivered by a professor from Boston, and it's just 32,000 drams, one full day, because it is heavily sponsored.
Great. We're gonna have a little advertisement break, and we'll come back talking with our guests Aren and Sergey. Stay tuned. This is 103.1. We're back in our studio.
I love hearing those jingles.
Yeah, I know.
Ian and I just sat down for 30 minutes and just wrote all those out, ran into the studio and recorded them. And
Yeah, we'll ask for their opinion at the end of the show. Let's see what they think.
well, as we stare at them and see what they have to say.
You better say they are cool.
Yeah.
Well, New York, Boston, Moscow, you guys have a diverse geography. Do you think it is important to have an international studying or working experience so as to have a successful career here in Armenia? And why?
Well, I strongly believe so, because the more countries you live in, the more people you know. I mean, the more experience you have working in different environments, and definitely it gives you lots of advantages to other people. So, in my case, I mean, I've lived only in Moscow and Yerevan. Actually, I've never lived anywhere in other countries. So most of my career and my education and my friends are both in Russia and in Armenia.
Why is your English so good? If you've
I studied English in university. I have an experience working for an American bank. I mean, I have lots of American friends and American bosses.
Connections.
And, connections in different countries. So
Tell them you
I
attend
strongly believe
extension
that.
courses. Let's pretend that it's okay.
he's learning English at AUA.
He's pushing hard.
I have friends from
Vočili
A
anekdota.
friend from AUA. Yeah. I strongly believe so. Yeah, it's good to have an international experience and education outside. It always helps.
It's very helpful, especially if you're finding yourself in a situation like mine, for example, when you are buying a huge table from IKEA and it doesn't fit in the truck that you rented, and then you really you stare at your phone and you don't have anyone to call and ask for help, and then you just return the table, and then you start understanding how the stuff is working, and you're starting to think in a absolutely different way, very different from what you are used to in Armenia.
I'm not sure about the relevance of that. I love the example about the IKEA furniture, but I was trying to understand, what about IKEA furniture?
It was just another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we get IKEA furniture here in Armenia?
I don't think
I don't think
Yeah, no, you can actually. You can. There are companies that are bringing it from Russia. So I mean, you can order it and they will bring it to your
Write that
home
down, Rafa.
from Russia. Yeah.
I love my first job was at IKEA. I worked for IKEA for 6 years.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I remember the article numbers and some of the Homnes bed set.
And my first furniture was from IKEA.
Yeah, I think many
First
of ours
rented a
was.
flat, yeah, in Moscow.
And I have a cup from IKEA.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, where did you guys meet each other? So because
Not in IKEA,
we
but
invited.
in idea. We went in idea. We were working
pretty
together
much
actually.
like IKEA, which nobody else works there anymore.
A lot of people are
Okay,
listening.
no, we met in IDEA. I mean, IDEA Foundation that we
Right.
both worked for, and we met before, but we didn't like. I didn't like you.
Yeah.
But do you now?
Yeah, I love him now. I mean,
more than
I
like,
spent
you know.
time with him more than with my
He
family.
was just reminding me that he took me to Paris, not to send the wrong message to the people, but
Does your wife know?
well, yeah.
I'm taking to great
Revealing
places.
the
you see,
secrets.
I took you to Paris. I brought you to Radio Van. So I mean,
Yeah, if we literally translate it from Armenian, you're opening my eyes to this life.
So once
Yeah.
you guys are spending so much time together, name 5 things you have in common. Go ahead.
This socks. I
You
know
have the
they're
socks?
from Adolfo.
That's one.
no, wrong answer. No, they're not from.
Then we have
they're-
nothing in common.
No, we do have lots of them. We both have 2 sons. First, we raised two sons. We both
Beautiful
have
wives.
beautiful wives. Yeah, absolutely. We are
Who
both
had
well
to support
educated.
You can say hello.
We're well educated. We're handsome.
Successful.
Successful, smart.
Successful, and we both left IDEA Foundation.
Yeah.
That's
There
good.
you
They
go.
covered
we
it.
both left IDEA.
Aren gets
so
5
many
points.
Nice.
And
We're,
5 points go to Aren. Okay.
we're keeping track of these, right?
yeah,
Ina, you're writing these down?
of course.
But wait, I'm
It's because I'm smarter. That's it. I think faster.
That's what
than
we
them.
don't
That's
have
the
in
only
common.
difference
That's
that you
the
guys
only
have. Yeah.
difference.
So I'm curious though, why did you guys not like each other at first?
No, I mean,
No,
I
not
didn't
really.
care. I mean, I didn't know that you.
Yeah, no,
if
no,
I
no,
knew
it's-
that you don't like me, I would.
Oh, no!
Okay,
I was kidding.
Aren
I was
is,
kidding. I was kidding.
Be honest, okay? This is the moment of honesty on
Honesty,
air,
our
on Radio
psychologist
One.
No. I was just kidding. No. I liked Sergey.
From the moment you
I
met
mean,
him,
we have such a
From the moment
shortage
I
of,
saw it.
of
just across the room,
This kid
the eyes
sounds
locked, and you guys
weird.
just floated across the floor towards each
naturally
other.
gravitated. No, I mean
The slow motion.
the thing is that I mean it's such a shortage of good people. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't want to say
In the
Armenia. I
world?
think in the world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now with the recent developments.
Right.
So I mean, it's we even were thinking of opening a political party. of good people, and you guys are invited
What would
to join.
what would you name? What would you name? Good people?
I like the name.
Love,
The-
in
no,
Armenia, it would say "Love Martkans Dashing."
Love
That was the
the
idea. Love Martkans Dashing. Yeah, that's.
what does that translate to?
Union of good guys.
Union.
Good
Union of
people.
good
Okay.
guys,
Okay. If you were a historical figure, who would you be? You and you, both of you. Take your time. 5 more seconds.
I want to say I would want to be somebody who invented something, maybe, and got a prize for it. Nobel Prize. I hope.
Aurora's prize.
No.
Not the Aurora Prize.
No, I think, or I would be a writer, I think.
And what would be the name of your book? Good people.
No.
Parts
actually,
2.
I don't know. It's just a long day. I can't think anymore. I guess I would be Jonathan Safran Foer.
Who is
that
that? Yeah.
Who is it?
It doesn't
Yeah,
know,
we-
just
yeah.
the name.
We need-
Just
now
three
we need
names
to
that I
pretend.
randomly-
Now
I
all of
mean,
us need to pretend that we know. Oh,
Yeah, of
Of
Cool.
course,
One,
yes.
I don't know. Aren, your turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Just any historical person,
Yeah.
like and political or arts.
Anyone.
Anyone.
Or maybe I would be a Gaudi.
Gaudi.
Yeah.
A
Is it
Gaudi?
historical?
That would be a Gaudi.
Cheese.
No, I think I would be some kind of reformator or something like Peter the Great, Russian Tsar, or Lee Kuan Yew, the Singapore. He's already a historical person because he died. So I mean, like Lee Kuan Yew is Singapore. This is my dream. I want a Lee Kuan Yew for Armenia. That's why I think I would be some like
You would take that.
a terrible dictator, but a person who would push the country forward for
Armenian Che Guevara on air right now.
No, not Che Guevara was a revolutionary. I mean, he was just
yeah.
a cruel guy. He was not smart, actually. He was just a cruel guy. I mean, I would be something that was smart and like strong, and that would break all the rules and just push what he believed in forward without looking at anybody or anything on his way.
I see.
Wow.
I like it. If you were to think right now of one rule here in Armenia that you'd want to break to just push on through, is there anything that comes to mind?
Think about this question after we come back. Our little break. Yes, you have a little time to think. Stay tuned. This is Homesick at Home, our English speaking show on Radio Van. We're back after a little break. And Rafi, what was your question? I forgot.
So did I. I don't remember what my question was, but I love that song that we just played.
If you would to change something,
Yeah, this song was Sergey's order, so specially for you. What
for
was the
everybody,
name?
thank you. Losing my way.
Losing My Way. Yeah.
That was funky. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the question was, if there was one thing that we could change right now here in Armenia, what would that one thing be?
Or two.
Or, yeah, sky's the limit. You can start with one.
So you have people in your mind, right? No, actually, what I would change is those horrible signs on the shops that whatever want they do, they just stick on the walls or like windows of their shops and restaurants. I was shocked when I was the first thing, my kind of reverse cultural shock was about that. I couldn't stand like how they write, what the fonts they're using, how they write the names of their stores.
Here
how
comes
much
the creative
space.
side of Sergey.
It was horrible. How much space? There was no standard.
Yeah.
I would change that.
We need rebranding.
First that. Second, I would change smoking. I would just ban smoking everywhere. Not like everywhere, but in public spaces, restaurants. I just hate that.
What about
Sorry.
Aren John?
Probably something environmental. I think I would fight strongly. I would fight mining, definitely, in Armenia. I would fight the deforestation. I mean, all these people who were cutting trees. something about the environment first of all, because I think that we're facing a serious problem now with our environment in Armenia. But if you look at the garbage everywhere, something I would change the rules and the laws in this field and make it much more strict. And that if it was one thing, because actually I would change lots of things, but if it was one thing, I would fight.
It's only an hour show.
Yeah.
You know.
But
But
you want to prove that you're smarter, actually.
Yeah,
right.
I do.
I like the competition here.
But when you say those things, it's not you wouldn't get rid of mining, or maybe perhaps cutting down trees, but maybe more regulated. Is that what I'm hearing?
More strict rules, definitely. More regulation. I would definitely ban mining in those regions that are both like, I don't know, mining and touristic attractions. I mean, which is weird, and I think it doesn't make sense. If you have, for example, a mine in Dilijan, and Dilijan also you try to develop a touristic destination or educational whatever, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you have to zone the country. Okay, wherever you have mining, you don't develop tourism. Where you develop tourism, you don't do mining. Okay, so we have everything mixed up, I think. So we need to some kind of bring more rules there.
Unless that mining's really interesting, you know. I don't know why. I just picture like them digging a hole and you can go spelunking, go caving inside of that hole.
Mining in general, because mining creates jobs, and of course it's good for the economy and everything. But again, we need strict rules there.
Yeah.
Right, Aren, what do you do now? Speaking of your ideas, and
I work on a very interesting project that it's an edutainment project. Like, what's edutainment? Education through entertainment for kids, which is called Citizen. It's a center of professions for kids, where kids get acquainted with different professions and they can do very interesting things. They can work, they can earn money, they can spend money. It's the first get the first impression of different professions that there are in the world. It will look like a real city where they will live in. So there will be lots of enterprises there, like banks, bookshops, post offices, fireman station, etc., hospital, police station, and even a radio station, by the way.
Wow.
So where kids can learn how to be a DJ or a reporter. So yeah, we are now in the process of construction, and it will be opened later this year. Hopefully during first months of summer.
Wow.
Yeah. So you are guys all invited for the opening already.
Fantastic.
for sure.
Like our.
Where is it?
It's in Avan, in Play City. It will be a separate building, and we about 2,000 square meters of space, with also with some cafes, party zones, small shop, etc. So it's going to be great.
Are the children also running the cafe?
No, the children are not running the cafe, but children can work in the cafe.
Really?
I mean, work not like a real waiter or somebody, but imitation of work in the cafe. And we will have this bakery and restaurant place where they will learn like what is to be a waiter, or the table etiquette and everything. Yeah, it's very interesting.
So this is kind of a way to help kids decide on what they want to be in the future? Or?
Yeah, it's like the first experience and first touch. For example, you can choose whether you want to be a policeman, because you will have different things that policemen are doing, or in a hospital. I mean, there will be different sections in the hospital, like nursery, like surgery, or a polyclinic. So they will think, they will see how it works. I mean, what is it to be a doctor?
I mean, it totally makes sense. It sounds like the kids will be able to learn like responsibility, trade, politics, how to deal with people. You know,
yeah, definitely. Because we are going to have a city hall there. A real city hall, I mean.
This is
we are going to have elections there, by the way. Yeah. I mean, I'm serious. We're going to have elections there. The kids can have a citizenship there. and they can apply for an ID for a
Can they give up
residence card.
citizenship?
Huh? Yeah, they can give up citizenship. They can exchange Armenian citizenship for the citizen citizenship.
Can they apply for a green card there?
They can play the lottery, you know.
Yeah,
like-
Or they can wait for a phone call from Russia.
They can which is very important is they will learn how to deal with money, because they will earn money while they work, and they can spend money if they are getting entertained, or just can buy something in the shop with this money. It's
Will
not
that
a
be
real,
a real money
No,
or
it
money
will be-
they can
it
only
will be-
use
we-
in this
It
area?
is called Z drums. I mean, like Z as a Z generation. Because what is citizen, by the way? Why do it is called citizen? Because because they are small citizens. It's a city, and they are small citizens. They learn how to be a citizen. The city part means that it's in play city. Also, the Zen, in Buddhist philosophy, is the education, the Zen. And also the Z letter means Z generation kids. This is today's kids, the kids who are dealing living in the internet world. So lots of meanings put in this one word.
Are there any age restrictions?
Yeah, it will be from 4 to 14 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
4.
4 to 14.
Oh,
Cool.
I can't. So I cannot run for mayor. It sounds like.
And how
Yeah.
can people find the contacts if they
The
want
information,
to apply?
we have a page on Facebook now, which is called Citizen, but it's called like City, like CITYZEN. And we will soon be launching a website at citizen.am. It's under construction now, and also we will promote heavily and to have a pre-launch campaign later in the beginning of June, I believe. So I think lots of people would know.
Fantastic.
Nice.
So to find out more, you go online and
I'm
type in
interested
City
as a
Zen.
mother.
Yeah, thank you.
How old is your child?
Almost 4. So
Okay, so he can be a citizen.
yeah, we're ready.
Welcome.
Were you able to look at Armenia with a stranger's eyes after coming back here? Well, both of you, because you have the
Every time I was
experience.
coming back, and every time I leave Armenia for a long time, I would say, I come back here, and the moment I land, it's as if I never left. Every time. So nothing changes for me. The only thing, except this big signings that I mentioned, that was the only shock for me. Everything else was, just as I left it.
But even when you left when you were a child, no,
No.
or a teenager? No.
No. I did my PhD here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I got rid of the army issue, and then I was able to breathe and think freely. And I understood that I wanted a business degree, and I was 24 when I left, and came back 7 years later.
So in that 7-year period, the changes that had occurred, it didn't seem.
No, I was coming back every summer to teach,
yeah.
and then to see my parents.
You haven't served in the army, have
No.
you? Yeah. So would you encourage everyone to follow the way that you did?
But
A tricky question.
yeah, I mean, if they can, I'm sure. But
I guess no. In my, it wasn't like I didn't deliberately avoid army or something, but I thought that I would be more useful not being in the army.
yeah, you're
Because I
contributing.
would screw up there. Honestly.
The old army.
Yeah.
But Aren,
Yeah.
you left very young. Yeah, it was.
I was 15 years old.
15 years
Yeah.
old. And then did you travel back on a regular basis?
I did travel on a regular basis,
Okay.
actually, and the same as Sergey said. The moment I came back with my family in 2009, after 16 years living in Moscow, it was like I've never left. I mean, I felt home the same moment, and I have never tried to look at Armenia with foreigners' eyes or strangers' eyes, just because this is my home. I belong here. I feel I'm like.
And
I feel
my friend has.
magnetism.
Sorry to interrupt, but my friend has a very funny analogy. He says that Armenia is like when you leave Armenia, you kind of get married and you go to a different family. But Armenia still stays as like a mother who is always intervening in the family questions and who's always like on the way and so on. But you still love her.
Yeah.
So I mean that's the feeling
Mother.
about Armenia. Yeah, mother, but like not like the
Mother-in-law.
Kind of, yeah.
Stepmother.
Stepmother, maybe, yeah.
Since you, both of you are guys, you have made the decision at some point of your life to come back here and continue your life, your business here. What would you advise to people who complain about Armenia all the time?
Stop complaining.
Just, yeah.
Just easy.
No, they have to realize that being in Armenia is their decision, and it's a very pragmatic decision for me, for example, it is, because I know that I'm more valuable here in Armenia, because I can add more value, I'm more competitive with my education here, and so on.
You're speaking from the perspective of like an expat or a repat that comes over
Yeah.
back to the country, but I mean, perhaps a local person, they don't necessarily choose to stay here.
But they still, I mean, with all the good, bad, and ugly in Armenia, they still are better off in their country, I think, right? Because they know that bad and how to deal with that bad and good. But when you are not in Armenia, everybody thinks that, we will leave and everything will change. No, it gets worse. Because you have to get used to it, you don't understand how stuff works there, and you actually are, less competitive and less better off there.
Thank you. We have a little break again, but we'll come back soon, and we have another 20 minutes to go, so we will prepare our best questions for our guests. This is 103.1 Homesick at Home, and I would like to remind you that you can watch and listen us live on www.radiovan.fm. We're back, and I think we have some subjects that we haven't touched earlier that are quite actual recently, which is connected with our elections. I've seen Aren's page. He's really active in, with his opinions. So could you please both of you guys, speak a little about what you think about our recent elections? Are they any different from what we had in the past, or nothing has changed?
How do we answer this question and stay actually in Armenia, healthy and successful as we entered this room? Should we kind of, be
I don't have any
correct,
limitations. I don't know. You're a professor.
Our
maybe you
radio
have
has no
limitations,
limitations, so feel free.
I can tell you my opinion about everything what happened during the elections. I think it was quite fair actually, and it clearly represents what really is going on in our society. I mean, there are lots of people complain and say, "Oh, the opposition only got 10% or 11% or whatever," but this is the reality. I mean, we don't have such a strong opposition leaders today and such strong oppositional parties that are coming with a clear political agenda, and people would go trust them and give the votes. From one side, from the other side, our society is very conservative. We are really afraid of changes in every way aspect of our life, both political, daily, and this is something that really are seriously stopping us from moving forward. We are very conservative. We don't embrace the change. Actually, we hate the change as a nation. We're trying to be much traditional, conservative in every aspect of our life. And you can see the results of the elections. If you look from this point of view, you will understand everything. People don't want change the power. They will complain. They will say, the president is bad, the prime minister is bad. I know everything is bad, and they will be complaining and leaving the country. But they are not ready for the change because they are afraid of the change.
But a lot of people say that there is no alternative, so better stay with this one. At least you were used to this.
That's exactly
what I was trying to say. And the young generation, who is more like open for change, etc., they would vote for the young leaders, for the new leaders. This what we saw, this phenomenal result. I think it's phenomenal. The new party that the YELK, the exit party, the exit party that entered the parliament. I think that's a result of the young generation voted for a change actually, but it's still a very small portion of the whole nation.
Who did you vote for?
For YELK.
And,
I'm open
do
here.
you believe
For
that
the
this
same
is
reason.
the good
For-
alternative?
You know, I always think that it's better to try something new. I mean, if we already know who the other guys were, I mean, you know, they've been there, they've been in the parliament, in the government, we've seen them. I want to see new faces, I want to see young faces, I want to see educated people, and try them. I mean, if they don't succeed, I mean, next elections
always
you're
try
free
again.
to vote for somebody else. I mean, nobody's like, you know, nobody's stuck to somebody for all his life. Only
What I see as a problem in this election, and actually in, I guess, the mentality of our nation is that this election, just like any other election, we voted not because of some political belief that we follow, or like a preference, real preference to a person or a party or a philosophy that a party adheres to. I think we voted, and I myself voted too, because of a person that we knew that was there, or a person that who asked us to vote for somebody. I mean, this partial attitude to something very serious as our future and the future of our kids is still predominant, and I think that's another trait of our nation that is really keeping us from development.
How do you
Not
see
only the
this?
conservatism, but also this phenomena that we, do something not because we want it, but because of some circumstances.
And how do you see a mechanism of changing this kind of mentality? Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. I see it in education. I think it's one of my friends posted on Facebook an interesting status that I, can sign under. It was Suren Manvilan, a friend who's a photographer now, and he's teaching. I think he says, if you want change, go teach.
Yeah.
So I see change in education.
Yeah, switch gears slightly, but along the same gears. We actually had one of our viewers send in a letter asking us to ask a question to you guys, knowing that you two were coming on tonight. What was that question?
Yeah, let me just read it out. I think... Just a second. Yeah, Mikhail Tovmasyan asks, I would love to hear about your reverse cultural shock, much stronger than cultural shock. Experiences, changes, unrealistic expectations, changes in lifestyle and fashion, a localized mentality of relatives and friends, different concepts of time and place of life, family, community, pressure to conform, etc. So
That's a heavy question.
yeah, it's quite a long one.
So many
It's
words.
like 5 questions all in one.
Well,
Yeah, but I think we answered it. I mean, I didn't have any cultural shock.
No reverse
reverse.
culture shock
No,
coming
nothing.
back.
Absolutely nothing. I mean,
It felt like you
I
never.
I felt like I never left. First, second, I've never, burned bridges with Armenia. I mean, I always was in touch here. I have relatives here, had relatives, friends, etc. I was coming to Armenia quite frequently, so I mean, I knew what's going on. I never, had a feeling that it's gonna be, when I came back, I knew where I'm going. I mean, I've never had big expectations or something that I would get disappointed if it was not
No diaspora syndrome.
diaspora. No, absolutely. I was not a classic diaspora
Yeah.
guy. I mean, I was born here. I knew what's gonna look like for me. I don't know.
No, I think it. I don't want to offend anyone, but if people come with like super expectations, come back, or like they imagine something and then they get disappointed, I think it's a sign of them being emotionally immature.
Immature, yeah.
So I mean,
or not being aware of the whole picture, not getting the whole picture, the reality. After all these years living abroad, do you feel homesick for wherever you guys lived? For Russia, for I don't know, USA or London, where you've studied?
No, I don't, because I go to Moscow frequently. My mom still lives there. I have tons of friends there, and the same with Moscow. I mean, whenever I come to Moscow, I don't have the feeling that I left the city. I mean, because it's so natural for me to be there. Also, I mean, I've spent 16 years there, so I know every corner. It's very difficult to know every corner of Moscow, but I mean, when I go walking around, so I mean, it's all very familiar. Though the Moscow changed very much, not like Yerevan. I mean, they're changing much faster than Yerevan. It may sound weird because Moscow is a 15 million population city, but the change is fantastic. What's going on there, but again, I mean, I don't have any feeling of kind of homesickness for Moscow.
So you have two homes, can we say?
Well, I have one home, which is Armenia, definitely, but I have an apartment somewhere else.
A home and the apartment.
A place where I can hide sometime. Yeah.
Well, another quick question before we go on our last break. If you were able to change the location of Armenia, where would you put it?
By the sea, of course.
Yeah, same here.
Tropical beaches.
Balkans. Yeah.
The Balkans. Yeah, I agree. It sounds good.
We all agree on this one. We have 5 more minutes to go. This is Homesick at Home. We're having a good time with these guys. Stay tuned. Okay, Rafi has a question, I think.
Oh,
go ahead.
Do I? Okay.
I think you do. You better.
So, let's see. Well,
dreams.
I think I would love to talk about dreams, what we have in the future, but before we get to that could be our final one. I was just curious, like, what's family life over here? Did you guys... Now, you're both married, correct? And you both have kids, 2 kids, right? Did you guys meet your wives, your significant others here in Armenia?
Yeah.
And what's that like for the family growing up here?
My wife is from Georgia. She was born there. She's Armenian, but she was raised there. She graduated school, and she came to Armenia in a pretty when she was a grown up. We met here. She hated me, and then
this is pretty much the same beginning.
We have a
with
reoccurring
everyone.
theme here, yes.
And then I was very persistent, and she ignored me. Then I followed her to Moscow. She ignored me, and I followed her to Las Vegas. She ignored me. But I wasn't really persistent in Las Vegas because I didn't call her. I was hoping that I will see her on the streets. As a real Armenian.
You're right.
But, that's a fact. And then when we both came back, I came back from Russia, where I worked for a couple of years, for 2 years. And she came back from the US, and we met again, like, take 2.
And she gave up.
And finally fell in love. So, yeah.
Hello, Yana.
Hi, Yana. And we have 2 smart, beautiful kids, very different from each other, very similar to us. And what else can I say? I don't know. Aren, now you tell me.
No, we met in Moscow. My wife was working in a company that I used to work for before her, and I came just to see my friend, and I met her at the reception of the company. She was not that working as a personal assistant of him, so we started just talk before the guy came to the office, so we just started to talk, and then I invited her for dinner, and this is how it all started. And our kids were both born in Moscow, actually, so they are both Muscovites by birth. And when we returned to Armenia, they were like the small was like 8 months old, and they are also 2 boys, and also very different from each other.
So it wasn't that stressful for them?
No, it was absolutely not stressful because they were very small. And still, what I like about them, they're very open-minded about like being in Armenia and Russia. I mean, they are bilingual. They speak both Armenian and Russian easily, and
English.
And the English now they learn in school, yeah. And my smaller kid is also learning other languages like German in school, and he loves to learn languages through the internet. And sometimes he gives me some phrases or something in Japanese or other questions. Yeah, so I mean he's a special kid. So yeah, and I love my wife. Hello,
Hello.
Hello to all of the wives out there.
Everybody heard that.
and we, because we left them today on this day of beauty and motherhood. We left them to be with
we're
you
sorry.
here. So,
But it's every day, this holiday, so you can arrange a special party for them any day of the year, right?
Right. You're saying you don't have to just wait till April 8th or May 8th. Or
No.
What day is it today? April 8th.
So
April 7th.
for both of you guys that have successful families and career, as from a man's perspective, what is it besides the financial stability that a man should have to build a healthy family?
well, that's health. Definitely, I mean, first. Well, I think that you have to be in a comfort with yourself, first of all. I mean, it's not about like being a successful from the perspective of business or money or whatever, but you have to be in a comfort with yourself. I mean, if you are not in a comfort, if you are unhappy with yourself, I mean, I don't think that you can build a successful career or have a happy family, whatever. For a man, and both for women, I think the same. I mean, first, for me, the first important thing is that I have to feel comfortable with myself. First of all, I mean, with what I'm doing, with whom I have, I mean, relations and at home with friends, etc. I mean, this is very important. The comfort.
Harmony. Harmony. Harmony.
Harmony, absolutely, yeah. I heard Harmony. Who's Harmony?
Harmony.
Harmony.
I think
Harmony.
Yes, no, but no, I think that I just I'm starting to realize that recently that you have to have compassion. I think to be happy. Not sympathy, not like tolerance, but compassion, really. And it's something very Christian. I'm starting to realize that you have to love the person, like really love, not tolerate, not just because it's politically correct. That's the right thing to do. That's what I read in the books. But really, like, understand, empathy, maybe, empathize that person.
Yeah.
Because if you're fighting against them, if you are trying to be better or be the right person there among the two, between the two, I think you will lose, and it will be an inefficient kind of way of living. But just the moment that you start to understand where this person is coming from, the harmony starts.
The harmony. I just thought of the song Amy Winehouse. Love is a losing game.
So as we're closing up, we've gone from economics to politics to family and country as well. Is there anything that you guys are thinking about for the future? Any dreams that you guys have?
You guys are so perfect. I mean, do you have any phobias?
Phobias.
Or phobias?
I have a phobia that my dream won't come true. Recently, I'm getting signals, which I'm hoping that they don't. They're not going to be in the way.
Non-come-true phobia.
Yeah. Well, my dream is pretty similar to what Aren is doing now as his project. I have a similar dream project, which is a children's museum, actually, which is more education than edutainment. Children's museum or museum of science is somewhere that people can when kids can learn by doing, by playing, by experimenting, by observing the phenomena. And my dream is to change the dreams, actually, of kids, to have them love science or understand what science is. Basically, the STEM education, I add A and C, or CA, STEMAC. It's actually arts and communication also to STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Because I think it's important for kids to be happy, to realize what they really want to do in life, right? So Aren's project is about professions, about like what they want to do as adults. Mine is what they want to learn or like study in future before working. So I think these are two projects that kind of complete each other.
Absolutely.
This is the real harmony in this friendship. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. We really enjoyed our chat.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And for those of you, our dear listeners, who didn't hear the marriage part, these guys are married, okay?
Sorry to all you lovely ladies out
so
there.
you can connect them only business-wise.
For offers. Yeah, no, it's good.
So only business, okay? Citizen and AUA.
Yeah.
Nothing else. This was Homesick at Home with Rafi Petrosyan.
And the lovely Ina MK.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday.
Bye-bye.